Good to see you, buddy. You look lean and mean.
Just got done surfing for 2 straight months, so I guess maybe that's it.
Do you live in Hawaii?
No, I don't live there. I go there, though, for at least like a month every winter.
So what do you do for a whole month? Like, talk me through a day in Hawaii, because I have no idea.
Normally I'm up before the sun comes up. I used to always ride my bicycle into downtown Lahaina, but that's no longer with us at the moment.
Because of fires?
Yeah, because of fires. And it's, but there, it kind of gave me a little hope this time. I mean, when I was there last year, it was totally like an apocalyptic scene. It was pretty gnarly. This year, you're starting to see frames go up, and hopefully that's followed by, business and stuff. But it still was my routine where I take a bike ride early morning and I would check the whole South Shore coast to see if anything was close by happening, breaking. And then if nothing's happening, I go to Honolulu Bay usually. I got a truck that I rent out there from a buddy. And so it's like a 20-minute drive, and then I'll surf for 4 or 5 hours, and then I go to our roots. I get a little coffee and a little lunch, and then I go back out and surf a little longer. And then if some buddies are doing something on the other side of the North Shore, I might mountain bike late in the evening. We'll go up to Haleakala and go all the way down, and we'll do like a campfire up on Poli Poli and call it a day.
You do that every day for a month?
This is amazing.
It's a different language.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say every single day, but the majority of that, at least pieces of that, I'm doing every single day.
And when you surf that long, it's got to be something more than just the physical part of it. I never surfed. So,
Yeah.
like, why do you love surfing?
Bobby, I think about it like this. I love to snowboard. I love it. Like, I really do. I love playing music. I love it, like, truly for the purity of it. But either one of those scenarios, but we'll say realistically, like if you said, oh, man, where are you going to snowboard this year? And I said, Park City. He said, oh, man, you're going to have a blast. But just be careful, because every winter over there's a big monster that comes out of the mountain and kills like 2 people on the way down. I would never snowboard again. That'd be it. You never see me on the mountain. Surfing is the only thing. I feel like once we get past the age of 11, 12, 13, we have happiness and we have joyful moments in life. I'm not saying that, but to tap into that childlike spirit of 9, 10, 11 years old is impossible. It's the only thing that does it. So, when I catch a really good wave that's throttling and I'm on top of like a 1-foot reef where there's that danger element of, oh man, I could die. It's 2 feet overhead, and you see people coming out bloody all the time. When you catch that and you're in it and you feel that euphoric thing that's happening in that moment, and it's, the waves are like carved in these celestial workshops, and it's, you get out the backside and the sunset and everything, you feel like you're a little kid. And so you kind of risk that for anything.
Are you able to separate yourself from the world and the tasks or troubles of the world because you have to focus on just that? Is that a part of it?
You just said it. It's the only thing. I feel trapped a little bit in a maniacal state that I stay in a lot. I can't ever seem to turn that thing off, and that's the only time that it happens. That's the only thing that I'm doing where everything just kind of goes away. And it's not just like, music and stuff that I'm hearing, all the time in my head, but it's, I feel everything big and small, like really deeply. So, I can even remember when we played South Africa last year, I had a moment, I've been doing some things underground over there, and I had a moment where I met this kid, and I've never had a kid make that kind of impact on me, and I carried it with me it was just constantly in there, for months. It felt like it's the only time that when I'm out there and you're in that everything goes away, the music, all the things that come with it, the madness, whatever heartache you're experiencing, whatever it is, it all goes away. And it kind of has to, because you have to be dialed in. If it's really pumping, you cannot think about anything else.
Who was the kid?
I've been going to these shanty towns in different spots of Pretoria, Johannesburg, Cape Town. And there's a woman that's been running a soup kitchen there for years. I'd heard about her, and I wanted to meet her, and they said, well, you can't go into this area because it's just way too dangerous. So I said, well, let's go. We're going today because this is my only day off. And they were, it was like this back and forth, and the government got involved. I was like, you can't go. We can't go in there, yada, yada. So we ended up going. We weren't supposed to, but I talked to a couple of my security guards to take me there. And I met her. I wanted to meet her in person because I wanted to get involved with her. So then that went to this other thing where she was talking about these safe houses she was wanting to build. So that's when I started meeting these individual kids. So this kid was Michael, who lived in this, this space that was, easily just as big as this square right here, with about 6 other kids, 6 of his brothers, 1 sister. Never met a more gregarious kid in my life. So now we're just trying to, not trying to, it's actually happening right now. So now we're working on the safe houses are going up now in that area.
Did that remind you that you're not always just a product of your environment? Meaning this kid has, from what we have, a pretty rough life. But if he had such a positive attitude, like you're explaining how he is, like people were drawn to him.
He was unreal.
Does that continue to give you new perspective when you see somebody living a life like that, but doesn't act like you think someone should act when they live a life like that?
1,000%. There's so many elements to this, and we could sit here and we could talk for 2 days on this because I got so many opinions on this. But you can't help but look around and what is happening within that particular area. To the opportunity just is not there. So that light will most likely start dimming. But that's, the special thing about kids before we kind of ruin them in a sense, but his environment is nothing but gangs affiliated around him. You feel the tension unlike anything I've ever been inside that. So, that there is, I'm really big on this. I'm really big on if you can be in a really dire poverty situation, money speaking, but if you have a solid foundation of parental structure, you can get past those things. But without that, and in that situation, it's pretty dire.
Where do you live? What state?
I live here. And
Your mail. Where's your mail come?
I live in Nashville still.
Okay.
Yeah, I still live in Nashville.
So your bills come here.
Yeah.
Got it.
I still live in Nashville.
You're all over Hawaii, South Africa. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like when it's time to check the cell phone bill, where did they send it to?
Well, yeah. That goes over there on Charlotte, but yeah, yeah.
So what about time to actually be creative? When do you get that? Because you have the new record out, but like when do you write this stuff?
It was every single day, Bobby. It was truly a relentless pursuit. Every time I got home last year, I was either writing with my friends, or I would start most of the songs. I'd get halfway done at this little place I got on the East Coast, and that's where I would go and I would write it, and then I would get guys out there. But I would hold up tracking. It was nonstop recording every time I had days off, and I did 100 shows last year, so it was every time I was home. I was working on it. Every time I was back in Nashville.
You're working on it, but when were you writing it?
Yeah, I wake up every single morning. It's the first thing I do, and that might end up being, on the road, and I get off the bus and I have a whole little process that I do. But I'm jotting out the lyrics that I've got, that I wake up with, and I'm singing the melodic parts, the counter melodies into my phone, because I'm always got that there. So then I see what I have. If it's something that moves me, I might be 3-4 hours into it before sound check. or I might just jot down a little bit for 30 minutes. I come back to it after sound check, then it's another hour, and then I come back to it after the gym, and it's another hour. It all depends. It all varies. And then late night, I've gotten to where that's kind of when late night, super early morning is when I feel the sharpest.
Ray, can we play a few of the songs here?
Yep.
Let's do Bad Spot. Can you give me some Bad Spot? This is Kip Moore in studio. Feel sad there, man. What's happening with you?
No, I mean, this record was very much an unpacking of the closet. It was, I think that, even with you guys, I mean, it's you come in here and you hustle every day, or you're on the road a whole lot, and you have this ability to start compartmentalizing. You compartmentalize all these things in your life, and you shove them down and you bury them. And a lot of times because you don't want to face it, and you don't want to look at yourself. Like, you don't want to look at yourself and actually see what it is, what you've done or what somebody's done to you. And so this record was a very cathartic process of that. And I didn't know it was happening because I write, like I said, I truly write every single morning. So I'm not always in a record cycle, but I wrote High Hopes, Live Inside, which is one of my favorites on the record, and Solitary tracks in like a week span. And then it's like, oh, I'm writing a record right now. I'm saying something. I've got something to say. And I felt it. I felt these things that are buried. And I think it's just an unpacking of that closet, looking at all the junk and saying you're sorry. Some people you can't reach out to and say you're sorry to. Saying you're sorries in your heart for those people, trying to pray for forgiveness for that, and then trying to receive the grace of that for yourself, and letting go of the things that people hurt you on. And I think that's what this whole record is.
There's one I'd like you to comment on that I like, the Flowers in December. Make that a little more personal for me.
That was actually me thinking about my dad. It wasn't so much of a it is a love song in a way in that sense, but it was, he'll creep into my mind at the strangest places. But then thinking about him had me also thinking about it. That's like a chain event that happens. And then I'm thinking about something a long time ago that went awry and our lives went separate ways. And I happened to be looking at a flower at that time that had wilted. And that's how the whole kind of concept came there.
It's a lot of tracks, 23 tracks. A lot of songs. Solitary Tracks is out. But 23 songs, does that mean you wrote a whole bunch more and you cut it down to 23?
It was just going to be the 13 from side A and B, and that's all it was going to be, because that side A and B is a thing. It's a very specific thing. The sounds, the sonic nature of it is all one thing. And then when I finished it, the label said, well, you got 4 months until we have to turn this in if it's going to come out February 28th, because that was always the set date. And so I just kept writing. And then C&D is more of just an eclectic mix of, I was in a whole different space, because once I wrote that, I was done mentally with that and the way I felt. And so everything started to change. And then I had Love and War, which is just a straightforward rock and roll song, and Alley Cat, and there was a different kind of levity to the music. But it's definitely kind of a hodgepodge mix on the next side. So I just decided, what the heck, I couldn't have done this in the situation that I was in. Let's just give my whole pile of songs. They hadn't had a record in a minute. So,
with as much as you travel, do you do a lot of stuff alone?
A lot.
Like go to a restaurant, go to a movie?
A lot, yeah. And I've always kind of done that, though. I mean, at 16, I was doing that. I was making up an excuse with everybody. And I love companionship. I love hanging out with good people, and but I can just remember kind of being aware when my dad kind of probed me, like, why didn't you go with Jason and Matthew when they came by the house, but then you left at 9:00? He couldn't quite wrap his head around that. But I would go see the movie by myself instead of going with everybody else.
Why is that?
I don't know. And at times like I said, I love the companionship, but I love sitting. I love sitting in a coffee shop by myself, jotting out thoughts. I love to read.
It's a solitude thing?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between like being lonely and finding solitude.
Yeah.
It's going to be a monk?
It's definitely not a lonely
Next
thing.
interview, he announced he's going to be a monk.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, like, you say it, like, there's a part of that. Like, I've even looked into going to those temples and doing the thing where you don't speak for a month. There's there's a romantic nature to that. And I just think there's certain things that you can't find out about yourself when you're constantly surrounded by people. Like I feel like being uncomfortable is the best way to learn who you are. I really feel that way. So it's not that I'm just trying to stay away from people a lot, but it's like even when I go on these surfing trips, I'll go get a dirt bike in El Salvador and then make my way down in Nicaragua or whatever and maybe keep going. And I love it. I got back this morning and yesterday morning, and it's like, man, and I'm not, by no means am I bashing Nashville in any sense, but I get here and the madness right away. You're in that traffic and it's just chaos and everybody's honking, everybody seems on edge, and you go to the gym now and everything just feels so different than even what it was 10 years ago in this town. And it seems like everyone's insular, super, super insular. It's a very, you don't feel warmth in these places. And so I think too, I love so much being by myself. I can't tell you how many experiences I've had in the last 2 months where I pulled up on a dirt bike to a surf spot and I'm just sitting there and I got a cup of coffee in my hands and I'm just kind of hanging out. And the next thing you know, there's somebody else that comes up right here. And next thing you know, there's somebody else here. And before you know it, because there's no waves, we've had a 3-hour conversation about everything under the sun. And the next thing you know, we're all grabbing dinner the next night. I make friendships, real friendships, so much in the gym that I go to, the Block Maui, which is just my favorite gym in the world, that you walk in and there is such a warmth in that place. And it's a genuine nature of they're excited to see you, and it's everybody in there. And they're all hanging out, and they're talking, and they're still getting a workout in. And then they all go hang. And I have made more friends in these places that I'm in for just a brief amount of time than the gym that I go to every day in Nashville. I can't think of anybody that I've really even hung out with. I've been working out there for 8-9 years. It's just a different thing of everyone's guard is down. There's no inhibitions. Nobody's trying to be cool. Nobody's trying to put on some front. They're not looking around over the shoulder and who else is in the room and, well, I got to go. I got a thing. And it's none of that. It's none of this like surface thing. You're in like these deep conversations so fast in these places. And then the next thing you know, I'm in a living room. That's happened in Mexico recently. And I'm meet this guy. I could barely speak English. And we're looking at the waves. We end up surfing all day together. And he's like telling me, and I can kind of understand Spanish pretty good now. And he's inviting me back to his house. Next thing you know, I'm in a house with 9 people having tacos where no one can speak English. And I'm in their living room in this tiny little house. And like, I'm like brothers with that guy now. And so every time I go back, it's awesome. There's no social, it's like people around here want to hang out with the people here. It's a weird thing. And you've got doctors hanging out with fishermen, hanging out with plumbers, hanging out with guy that runs a gym, and nobody cares. And when I'm traveling by myself, I open myself up to all those things because I'm just kind of drifting and letting it all kind of happen.
Obviously, you're playing a bunch of shows, and you and Billy are doing some shows.
Mm-hmm.
What song in the first few notes do people hear and freak out?
Of
yours?
That was us.
Just, yeah?
Yeah, right away. That was us, The Bull. I would say The Bull's probably the biggest song that I have. Which, it's never on the radio, and it's probably the biggest. Yeah, easily. Wherever I go around the world, that one, The Minute, that one, and That Was Us, and Crazy One More Time, those are probably the 3 that garner the biggest reaction.
Are you going to learn all these songs, all 23?
Oh gosh, Bobby.
It's a lot.
Last night I got home, and I'll be honest, this is the first time that I've like really checked out. Like truly, I was writing, but normally when I go, I'll start kind of thinking about the next year and working on the new stuff that I've written. And I just started looking at it last night and trying to relearn, because a lot of times too, you record them a certain way, and then when you play them live or you're playing them acoustic, you got to rearrange them a certain way. So I've spent no time, so I gotta get on that pretty quick.
You look jacked. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean,
What do you bench?
No clue. I've never maxed in my life. No clue.
I don't know, dude. He looks pretty jacked.
Pretty jacked.
Probably like
We're ready to ball.
285. You do 285 one time?
Truly no clue. Truly no clue.
But like when you're working out, you don't like
Adults really don't max though. I mean, I did just because I wanted to like see what I could do in like
y'all
ninth
know.
grade.
These guys know what they're.
Yeah, I'm an idiot, so I max like because I want to relive my junior high school football days. So I didn't know.
Yeah,
you know.
No, I know what kind of weights I work out with when I'm doing sets and stuff, but I've never maxed. Maybe I did in high school, but I don't remember maxing out.
You ever do like rocks when you're in the country and there's no weight? You're like just lifting boulders. That's what I picture you doing.
Yeah,
like two hand curls with boulders. Yeah.
In El Salvador, that's all you could do.
Oh.
So I didn't want to stop like training. So I mean, I was surfing a lot, but like you'd find big rocks and do
Are
different
you
things.
on Life 360 or anything like that? I feel like somebody in your life needs to know where you are at all times. Like I'm kind of worried.
Yeah, Nicaragua. I've been there. It don't feel safe.
No, but like, are you able to be located if need be?
No.
Or you're like off the grid. So like,
No, I mean I don't even have a computer.
You have a phone.
I got a phone I got an old iPhone like I think in 2013. Yeah. Still running.
okay.
Well, we're
Hasn't
not
been
worried
updated.
for you because you got it all figured out. But
I don't have it figured out.
Well,
I mean, I'm the last person that's got it figured out.
and that's what allows us to say you have it figured out, because if you thought you had it figured out, you wouldn't. It's those that don't have it figured out are the ones that have it figured out that you never actually figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of
We all quit.
how you
For
get
sure.
to live.
We're all out of here.
But I also am worried.
What's
like,
cool is we've wondered where you've been.
Yeah.
And now we know.
He's been on a bike in Nicaragua.
I don't. Yeah.
It's good to see you, buddy.
It's awesome.
It's good to see you guys.
What people may not know about Kip is that Kip still is an A+ athlete, not even at like the rock climbing and the surfing, but like was like and still maybe an elite golfer. I don't know if you get to play enough golf, but like Kip's like a true artist / athlete. He's the reason my cup isn't full in those areas. Like God gave him so much, he didn't have any left for a guy like me, which it's like, we gave it all to Kip.
He gave you plenty, Bobby.
I don't know. We do have a challenge that we've been doing here. It has to do with a bit of hand-eye coordination. Do you still feel like yours is pretty good?
Decent.
Okay. We've had a couple people give it a run. We had the current leader is Dirk Spentley. Matt Carney is right under him. We're going to put the scoreboard up behind you. Now, you can walk away from the challenge. It doesn't matter. But you ever played Bop It before?
No.
Okay. It's a very easy game. You hit the button. You bop it. You twist it, and you pull it. And it tells you what to do. All you have to do is listen. You can take a practice run. You want to take a run?
Yeah. I heard one of you guys talking about spear fishing on the way in here before I leave. After this is over, whatever, I have the most insane story I've ever heard.
Why don't you tell on the mic? You want to tell on the mic?
We want to hear it.
I'll give you the really quick version. Dear friend of mine, Albie Lair, who's probably the best big wave rider in the world, the most radical human being you ever meet.
Surfer.
Sweetest guy
Big
on
wave
earth.
rider means surfer.
He's insane. And
Got
his
it.
buddy, Tori Meister, is also a ripping professional surfer. So Tori's only spearfished twice, and Albie goes all the time, and they were on the North Shore. And this happened like 2 weeks ago. Albie's down low. He's got all these fish around his belt he's been catching, and he can hold his breath for like 4 minutes straight. So Tori's up close to the top of the surface, and he can hear the screaming happening. And he looks up. There's about a 12-foot tiger shark that keeps rushing at him. So he's fighting him off with his spear. So Albie freaks out and takes his belt off real fast and swims up to the top. Gets in front of the shark to like tamper with it and lets the belt go. Shark dives about 10 feet and goes away from it right away. Albie sees the shark go away, so he tells him to go up real quick. They get a breath. He says, we're going to have to go back down. We don't want to be bobbing on top. So they go back down to get eye level, see where it's at. Comes back around, circles from behind him, and he says, I've been in the water with so many sharks, but I've never had one literally trying to eat me. And it's going at him. He said the speed of this thing was crazy. And it would dart at him, and they were fighting this thing off with spears. It was a solid 15-minute fight with this shark. And now they're trying to spear it and swim backwards towards the shore. And so...
Are they holding the spear? They're not shooting a spear over and over again. They're just holding the spear.
Because if you shoot it, you've only got
right,
one
it's
shot.
one shot. Yeah.
So the shark was opening its mouth, and Albie told him they kept going to the surface. Whenever it would swim off, they would quickly go to the surface, get a breath, And Albie told him towards the end, he says, this thing is going to eat us if we don't do something now. Because he could tell how desperate this shark was. Must have been super hungry. Juvenile shark, 12 feet, male. So, but he knew he only had one shot. And he said, if it opens its mouth again, I'm trying to shoot in his mouth. But then you're going to be the only one with a spear. He never got the shot because he said it was so quick and you couldn't time it. But now the shark had figured out, it went behind him and it was trying to push him back out to the deep, and it's pushing him out further and further. He said this fight went on for a solid 15 minutes where he truly thought of all the big wave riding he's done. And, he's had severe brain damage from Jaws and stuff. He said I knew that it was over. As aggressive as this thing was, but they finally fought it off and they made their way back. And
what was the final?
It finally gave up.
It got tired?
It gave up with him. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. That's
Crazy,
the monster,
crazy.
though. That's why you don't surf. That's like,
truly.
You're talking about snowboarding. If a
Truly
monster
a
was in the
monster.
mountains, that's the monster that I would not go.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go out there. One of the most athletic guys I know.
Bop it to start.
He's going to play
ready.
Bop It. He's ready to go. The leader is Dirk Bentley with 18. Kip, are you ready?
Going to sleep.
All right, hit it up. Pull it.
Pull it. No, pull it.
Let's twist it.
Solo.
There you go.
Now Bop It.
High score.
Here we go.
16. Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Twist it. Pull it. Twist it. Bop it. Bop it. Pull it. Twist it. Twist it. Yeah.
Oh, the hand. It slipped out of his hand.
Did.
9.
What was the high score?
18.
18.
You were on it. That was the thing. It just slipped out of your hand. That was a grip issue.
Yep. Anyways, I
I'm
tried.
going to sleep.
Now it's going to sleep.
I can't believe I let Dirk Bentley beat me in that.
Well, look, man. Flip that mic back up real quick. The record, I'm going to be honest, it's 23 tracks. I haven't listened to every single track, but I did listen to a lot of it. It's awesome.
I appreciate that.
I think I
Thank
listened
you.
to A and B.
Okay, yeah, I got you. I got you.
That's how I knew.
Take a look on Forever is a Lie when you
I hear
leave
you. They
here.
only gave me the thing last night. The record.
Oh,
It's not actually out yet. I mean, it is while we're talking about it.
yeah.
But I only
gotcha.
just got it like
I
last
gotcha.
night. Yeah. I'm rooting for you. I love the project. I love that it feels so personal. You were able to do it how you wanted to do it. I think that's
I appreciate that.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
probably more fulfilling for you than any other project you've ever done.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You got to do
Thank
your
you.
thing. Everyone that's listening now, go see Kip on the road, and he's doing a bunch of dates himself. He's all over the place, but also he's doing a bunch of dates with Billy Currington, and the record is out today. It's weird when something new comes out because do you expect feedback immediately? Do you search for feedback immediately?
No, I've tried to like really disassociate myself when I like because I can't sit here and say I don't care because I do probably too much. So I try to disassociate myself when I get done with the project. I've really put it behind, and then I'll be playing it soon and I'll be reconnected to it. But music is just so subjective. So I've just learned to let that be what it is.
Solitary Tracks out now. Kip Moore. Go at Kip Moore Music. Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you so
There
much.
he is.
I
Kip
appreciate
Moore,
it.
everybody.
Thank you.
It's a